What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life, baby, you already know. And I'm here to bring you guys finally my updated build of Tetra Drive for the Stride format. Tetra Drive Stride, I should call it, I guess. I got the cards in the mail the other day, slapped the deck together, play tested with it a little bit. And this is the build I got for you guys. And the grade 2 lineup is kind of funky, but when I get to it, please let me explain why I chose what I chose for the lineup right now, but everything in the grade 2 lineup is definitely subject to change, so watch out for that. But let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so for starters, we're playing Officer Cadet Andre. The reason why we're running Andre over Eric is because riding Tetra Drive is more effective now than it was back then. Back then, we wanted to focus on getting back in the day, set 13 and onward, we wanted to focus on getting Transcore and then break riding Transcore as our kind of finisher play. But excuse me. Nowadays, with the limit break enabler and Stride, riding Tetra Drive is more effective than it has been previously. The trigger lineup is still the same: 4 heal, 4 draw. Malika still puts in work, and 8 crits. As you guys know, Supersonic Sailor is in this deck one of the most useful things because Tetra Drive does cost 2 counterblasts to use, and in conjunction with other things, the deck can get a little bit counterblast heavy. So this guy is there to help mitigate it, but generally only in late game and emergency situations and whatnot. Alright, so for grade 1s, 3 copies of Stacia. Stacia is just really good. She's free at GB1. She helps enable the 4th battle by swinging 9k from the back row. Again, even if she just swipes the Vanguard, doesn't even do anything, she helps us get there to that 4th battle. And as an older Aqua Force player, I can definitely tell you, getting to the 4th battle so you can play Aqua Force style Vanguard is so important. And so sometimes you just need a value getting there rather than if this attack is going to hit anything. 3 copies of the Limit Break Enabler. We do that because we can now get off Tetra Drive skill early game when we're at 3 or less damage. Again, combined with Stride and everything else, like this guy just helps us, have a better early game if we have to ride Tetra Drive early on. And if your opponent's at grade 2, well, they're going to have to deal with a restand if we can do that. So it's definitely a good addition to the deck. 4 Stride enablers because we want to be able to stride, and 4 the G Perfect Guard simply because I want more ways to unflip damage so we can mitigate some of the costs of using, especially early game when we use Tetra Drive, late game when we've used Magnum Assault and Andre and stuff. We want to be able to mitigate that, so just more ways to unflip damage. Alright, so for grade 2 guys, 4 copies of Tile Assault. Just an amazing card, free, not restricted by anything, puts pressure on the opponent early. 2 copies of High Tide Sniper. Again, another amazing card, especially in the Lambros turn, making use of our soul, turning our soul into a weapon. I think he's a really good card for this deck as well. And, Tile Assault's another weapon too, especially in the Lambros turn. And this guy as well. Now, the only reason why we're running 2 Magnum Assault, even though I think he's really good, is because, this deck is a big counterblast heavy, and if we are using Tetra Drive skill and we use Magnum Assault as the crux to get off Tetra Drive skill, that's a 3 counterblast turn, and that's just a lot of counterblasts we're using, guys. So that's why that's when we have to make more aggressive usage of the crit trigger and the Perfect Guard so that we can unflip that damage. But I haven't really run into that problem yet, but if we do, that's why I pretty much run 2, but I'm thinking about bumping him up to 4. Now in his place, I am running Basil. Now Basil, before you guys cut the video off, let me explain my choice on Basil. Basil is there, as an older Aqua Force player, I've always said just getting to the 4th battle is what we need to preference over, what hits and what not hits. What he does is he punishes opponent early game. Early game, if your opponent wants to play the grade 2 game where they're going to just grade lock themselves, or if they're grade stuck, he doesn't care. He'll swing for 10 and move to the back row with his self-protection method, by moving to the back row, like Storm Riders, because he's the OG Storm Rider. Another thing you can do with him is you can, boost him. He'll swing for 10 with like a 6k boost or whatever it is, swing 16 on Vanguard, move to the back row, protect himself, and now your opponent has to make the choice of, do I really want to waste an attack on a 7k booster, 6k booster, 5k booster, however, whatever it is, or do I want to focus somewhere else? But again, He's just there to get yourself to the fourth battle. It's kind of like with Stacia. She'll swipe into a Vanguard. It's not going to hit, but she's going to get you to that fourth battle. Same deal with him. He'll swipe 10 of the Vanguard, move to the back row, get you to that fourth battle. And, you know, if your opponent has a 10k Vanguard or less, then by all means, you know, more power to you. But he's really just there to get there. And early game too. Early game, you know, you're doing Tetra Drive skill. You want to have him or Tidal Assault, because sometimes you'll like for me, I had only 2 counterblasts available. I actually had Basil in my hand. I was able to use Basil and get off Tetra Drive's restand skill early game because he did not cost a counterblast. I could have waited till GB1 to use Magnum Assault, but then that would have cost 3 counterblasts, and I would have missed a good window of opportunity to put some pressure on my opponent. So this guy definitely came in handy early game as well. That's why I'm running Basil. But again, this grade 2 lineup is definitely subject to change. Alright, and on to grade 3. Alright guys, so for our grade 3 lineup, it's fairly simple. 4 copies of Transcore. Pretty much Transcore, when you break ride him, your Vanguard gets a skill of when it attacks, your opponent has to discard a card in order to guard. If they don't, your Vanguard gets an extra crit and they cannot guard your Vanguard for that attack. Combined with my boy Tetra Drive, you have the SP copy right here. Combined with him, Tetra Drive skill, you know, when he attacks in the second battle, he gets a skill of when your rear guard attacks the Vanguard on the fourth battle, you can restand him, counterblast 2, drop 2, and attack again, pretty much. So, again, your rear guard has to attack the Vanguard on the fourth battle, regardless of where the powers are at. If it doesn't attack the Vanguard on the fourth battle, he's not restanding. And if you use your rear guard to attack as the fifth battle, then you also miss the timing for Tetra Drive's skill to go off as well. Oh, excuse me. So he's definitely a good card. Combined with the break ride, if late game your opponent's like on 4 or 5 damage, whatever it is, it'll force your opponent to drop a minimum of 6 cards for 2 Vanguard attacks, because it's like drop 1, perfect guard, drop 1, perfect guard. So it's definitely still a really good break ride combo. Even though I feel as if the format's moved a little bit, you know, too fast, you know, depending on what deck you're playing against, you know, for you to consistently get this combo off as, you know, your winning image, because usually when we win games, it's going to be on Lambros, who I will get to right now. Yes, as promised, the strides. Obviously, title board, he's free. Third battle, he allows us to plus, and we get to call you out for additional pressure if need be. So he's definitely a great card, but Lambros is, you know, where you want to be. He's the finisher. You can even use him as finisher as your first turn stride if you've pressured your opponent that far. But again, this is, you know, Lambros is a card, you know, generally all Aqua Force decks are going to be using, you know, when an Aqua Force player wins, usually, you know, 90% of the time, generally, it's going to be on Lambros, because, you know, of the amount of pressure that he brings. And again, this deck is more centered around, you know, striding and being able to, you know, obviously win on Lambros, but, you know, just having the option to use Tetra Drive, you know, early game with the Limit Break Enabler, or late game, you know, if your field's established but you can't stride. So, you know, so that's the benefits of the deck. Now, I like this deck. I really do. I really like this deck. I'm going to continue working on it. And then in another video, I'll give you my thoughts on, you know, where I rank, you know, the best Aqua Force decks and how they stack up to the meta game today. But this has been the Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace. Aqua life, baby.